This is Robert with Pioneer Smokehouses, and today we're doing an introduction of the Char-Griller Smokin Pro Model 1224. Now this is a basic offset smoker that will double as a grill. I will not be using it as a grill because I don't want to overheat it and cause the paint to chip or flake, but I will be using it as a traditional offset smoker. And of course, there will be a chance that the paint will end up flaking on the firebox side. But let's start from the beginning here. I did an assembly video and the video was no good. So I'm just gonna do an introduction video. Then I'll do a reseasoning of the smoker so you can see the process. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna take a look at it and we're gonna talk a little bit about it. Now, on a smoker like this where it's a half barrel, you're never gonna get a completely tight seal. And it's always been my opinion that's not that important as long as you're getting good airflow and you're getting your heat to be maintained and your smoke. Now, you might consider putting a little bit of lava lock gasket like this around the edges just to make the seal just a little closer. Again, you're never gonna get it completely sealed, but you might just slow down the air leaks by having it right up there near the edge. And when I say that, I mean just right on the top rim around here. So when this closes down, it will seal that to it. And if you wanted to, you could put some on the bottom in the front here, but I wouldn't really bother with that. I would only worry about a couple of key areas to seal. And I would use something like the Lava Lock RTV, and this one is the 650. Now, this here is a food safe, temperature rated silicone, and you just put it around where you want to seal. My main concern is around this firebox, and I have some pictures here for you. And you can see that I put it on the firebox before I married the two together. And the same thing with the smokestack. Now, was it absolutely necessary? No. But here's the thing is that you're going to get the smoke and the heat up into this part of the cavern, and whether it leaks below that is not that big of a deal because of the fact that that's your cooking surface. So anything here and above is far more important than anything here and below because the heat will rise up in there and fill the compartment. Now, we don't want anything leaking out that we can't control. We have a vent here that closes off the chimney. And the thing about that is I usually will leave that completely open, but if you were having problems holding your temperature, you could restrict it a little bit. And because these are a lot more work than a standard, like a pellet or even a digital Masterbuilt, you might do that, especially when you're loading the charcoal. You might just pull that closed for a minute and then open it back up after the charcoal gets in. So those are the only two places that I use this. These tubes are not very expensive, but one of these tubes will be more than enough to do 4 or 5 smokers for this small of an amount of project. Now, if you wanted to add more attachments and seal them up, that's up to you. I don't see the need for it. Now I'm gonna go through the setup process and I'm just gonna explain some of the issues that I had. And first of all, there were a couple of missing parts. All the washers for the wheels are missing, and they're just standard 1/4-inch flat washers. So I just bought a package of them and I can add them on at any time I want. I don't think it's that big of a deal if you're not planning on moving it around a lot, but it does prevent the wheels from getting damaged by the cotter pin that holds the shaft in place. Now, when I went to assemble it, I just followed the step-by-step directions here, and the directions were very clear. One thing to remember is never tighten anything that it doesn't tell you to tighten. I like to put something together and leave it all kind of loose and then make sure it's all firmly fitting and then go back around and retighten everything afterwards. Sometimes a little shake and it'll help you get something in that was a little too tight. The one issue that I had was right here in the frame. When you go to put it together, you're trying to move it around, it tells you to flip it over, and you do so, and then it comes apart. So I recommend, and you'll see this picture here where I took a picture of that frame, I recommend that you put a little bit of blue painter's tape on it while you're moving that around, and then when you're ready, and you can just pull it or do whatever you want. When you go to attach the box onto the rack, what will happen is you'll need to get it adjusted. So you pull it apart just a touch if it's buried in all the way. So along with these step-by-step instructions, first you will do the base, the rack, then you'll attach the bottom of the barrel, then you'll attach the firebox and assemble it as you go, then you'll attach the lid of the barrel, and then you'll assemble the rest of the pieces, which includes the shelves and the smokestack. Some of the models don't include the exact same pieces. Like some models, the last one I had did not have this front shelf, and my buddies didn't have this front shelf either. Some also have a warming rack or a secondary shelf, which just attaches here, and then as you close it, it folds in and out. Now, I find that those are great for everyday things, but if you're planning on cooking something like a large brisket or a large pork butt, it's just gonna come down and touch it and get in the way and stuff. So you would end up removing it for that kind of cook. So I just kind of wanna avoid having one of those altogether. If you wanted to buy a set shelf, like I'll put a link for one of these. There's a couple of really good ones that will just go right directly on the grill rack, and when it goes across, it'll rest on here, and then you can get a second shelf, and you just kind of keep it towards the middle, and it doesn't really interfere with anything. When I have used one before, it's been back a little bit and to the middle. They are a little tough to clean, so if you can get them in the dishwasher, that's a good idea. They're not as durable as these racks. Now, I want to point out that these racks here are cast iron. These things are solid as a rock. Now, they work really well, and there's the 4 here and then 2 additional ones for here. I took those 2 additional ones and I put them in the bottom of the smoker, and I turned the charcoal holder upside down to help spread the heat across the unit. The next thing I'm going to talk about is modifications to your smoker. This smoker is really easy to make modifications. You could simply drill a hole and attach bolts, and you would do just fine. At this point, I haven't figured out where I would like to drill any holes, but I can replace some of the existing bolts and put in longer bolts to support things. I'm going to pull these 2 bolts out right here and put these longer ones in, so that way the charcoal bin has a place to sit. These bolts are standard 1/4 inch, so all I had to do is go to my hardware store and buy standard 1/4 inch bolts. These ones here are 2 inchers, and then if I want to do something with the side, I bought 4 5 inchers, and I can just replace the ones that are holding the rack to the bottom of the barrel, and if I want a different length, I can use a different length. But these ones here are going to be 5 inchers, and if I want to get something up a little bit higher and get a little bit more space for better airflow underneath that charcoal bin, I think this will do the job. I might end up using that, but I need to get a better idea of how it's cooking before I make any major changes. Now, the assembly, like I said, was really simple. This is a heavy unit because of its total mass. The box that it came in, UPS delivered it, has yellow caution tape. The yellow caution tape means that it's more than 70 pounds and is recommended as a team lift. The box itself said that it was 120 pounds. And I'll tell you what, it probably was. It was heavy. When I open these boxes, I flip the box, I'll roll it over, undo the bottom and open the bottom of the box, and then dump out the contents and lift the box off the top. You just want to make sure that you fold all the tabs down before you flip it over. Sometimes a piece of tape will hold the tabs open so you can get that flipped real easily. In this case, with this smoker, there was double boxing, which was really good because the only place that there was any dents were right in here, and I was just able to push them right back in place. And then same, like a little bit of flex right here. But again, I could just push that and it went right back in place, no long-term damage or anything. So once I got it all out and got it all assembled into pieces, then it was pretty easy for one person to handle. But again, it is a 2-person lift on the box, If you don't have a hand truck or something to wheel it around, that could be a problem. And for myself, I think that when you're assembling it, if you just have an extra hand, you might avoid using painter's tape, like when you're moving the rack around and stuff like that. So we'll play with modifications at a later time, but that'll cover everything for this video. If you saw anything you like in the video, all the links are below. And also there's a link to the review article on this with all the information about this and details written up, square inches and how to deal with different situations. But you'll find that on the website. I did that with a buddy of mine's smoker a couple of years ago, and his smoker turned out to be great. Here is what a picture of a smoker that is 4 years old, that is well used, looks like. I want you to see that. These things, I would expect them to get about 5 years if you use it on a regular basis, and that's probably about it. But they're not that expensive, so I don't think that that's unreasonable at all. So again, thanks for watching. Affiliate links below. Have a great day.